the Muskrat Falls inquiry holding hearings in Happy Valley Goose Bay this week, many of the participants have been offered a tour of the massive project, so they get to see it up close. Here Now's Chris O'Neill Yates also went on an exclusive tour of the project with Nowcore CEO Stan Marshall. Tonight, she's taking us behind the scenes to see the progress.
The site at Muskrat Falls is massive. It took a full day to see the whole site. Our first stop is at the North Spur. It's been in the news a lot. It's where the dam is, but it's just really a piece of land that juts out into the Churchill River.
Our task here, which is now finished, is to stabilize North Spur to make sure that it acts as a earthfill dam forever. And I'll say the last component of that is to install on the spur monitoring device to make sure that in the worst case scenario, if something were to go wrong, that you're aware of it and you can take corrective action long before there would be any catastrophic incident.
These are the monitoring stations installed at various sites to detect water level increases. So explain to me that portion that people were talking about that got so much play in the media about a collapse.
Very steep sandy banks. They've been eroding since the last ice age for the last 10, 15,000 years, and they will carry on to erode. It doesn't make any difference to the stability of this bank. You know, they're just natural features of the bank. You're not going to do anything with that as downstream in any event. As long as it's not on the North Spur, it's irrelevant.
People in Labrador have been concerned about the potential flooding and the effects of methyl mercury in their food.
When you say a word like methyl mercury, I mean, it scares people. But methyl mercury exists in the environment everywhere. And here, so when I talked to them here, I said, look, the reservoir we're filling here is 40 square kilometers. About 2% of the reservoir, which is 200 miles upstream, we built 40 years ago.
That is now a matter for the inquiry to settle. As we head to the generating part of the project, hard hats and safety equipment are needed there. It's a very busy work site. The generating part of the operation is made up of three structures: the spillway, the intake, and the powerhouse. This is as high as you can go at the Muskrat Falls construction site, overlooking the construction of the spillway as water flows through. That's the water that's going to generate electricity. The spillway has 5 bays, gates open and close according to how much water they want released from the reservoir. That's where we just came from.
Now, if anybody hasn't been onto a major power plant before, I mean, this is overwhelming. See the whole way down there? That's where the water will come in from the bottom of the reservoir and go into the tubes where the turbines will be. We're going to go all the way down here.
A brief stop for a snap with the boss. So why would Stan Marshall, comfortably retired, want to take on a mega project that was foundering?
Recognizing that as it stood, that it was going to have a very harsh impact on electricity consumers and on taxpayers of the province. I mean, that's why I felt I had to come out of retirement to help out.
So from here, it's off to the powerhouse. It houses 4 giant turbines that are key to generating electricity. Some young people tell us here that they've benefited a lot from this project.
It definitely opens a lot of doors for Labradorians and Newfoundlanders to work back here during the project and when the project is over.
There is a lot of politics and some people don't agree with this project. I think once you see it in person, it's a completely different story. I mean, you see the hard work that goes into this, the complicated engineering, and it's a massive project, but it's going to be excellent for the province to have. We own it.
Here we're about 30 meters below the level of the river. So once this is flooded in the fall, you'll never see it again.
The turbines are above where we just came from. They're key to generating the hydroelectricity that will come from here.
You've done the work on it today. This line up here is energized. So we'll go in there where the electricity is going in that building. I'll show you something interesting.
This is the inside of the transmission site where energy from Muskrat Falls begins. It travels 1,100 kilometers and ends up here at Soldiers Pond just outside St. John's. One of the things Marshall did when he took control of the Muskrat Falls project was to separate the generation part from the transmission side in order to be able to bring in power from the Upper Churchill. Marshall is trying to do things differently. One of them is to help offset the cost of increased electricity rates to customers in the province.
We've been selling excess power 2 or 3 cents a kilowatt hour. It costs us about 13 cents a kilowatt hour for fuel in Holyrood. So every kilowatt hour we can bring in will save 10 cents a kilowatt hour for the next 2 years till Muskrat comes on stream. So that can add up to hundreds of millions of dollars in true economic value. How you allocate that's one thing, but that's true economic saving. So let's do that. That's what we're doing. Special gas.
Marshall says he's also looking at bringing in power from Nova Scotia at peak times to save money instead of generating it at Holyrood.
We're doing a whole slew of things to see what we can to build up a pot of money to help mitigate rates and bring in rates increase more gradually. I mean, you can't change the big picture. You're investing $13 billion, basically. So someone's got to pay for it.
18 months on, Marshall says the construction of this project is not in crisis as it was when he took it over in 2016.
Good to talk to you, boys. The thing I've asked our employees to do when I came on, I said to them, we can do nothing but the past. But I said, people will remember how you finish, and I want us to finish strong. And they're doing that.
Well, some people might not like the fact, because with the inquiry going on right now, we all know about the cost overruns of the project. But Chris, thank you for getting those fresh images of this massive project. I mean, the engineering is mind-blowingly impressive. Do you think we tend to put aside the number of jobs that were created in this massive project?
Well, I think so. And, the thing is, whatever the inquiry comes back with, we own this. And I wanted to see it, and I wanted the people of the province to see it. Stan Marshall says, the workforce has essentially done everything he's asked them to do. Not always wanting to, but he went in and he did things differently. Mm-hmm. There are or have been about 4,000 jobs there at peak. So it has contributed to building a cadre of employees who are experienced in hydroelectric energy, to go anywhere in the world and work on these kinds of projects. So that's a side we don't hear in the midst of all the vitriolic debate, which is not something I wanted to get into with this story.
Yeah, and as you said, a lot of people have had employment there, the tradespeople, the cooks, transportation and so on. So this has been significant in employment terms and possibly their careers?
Absolutely. I met lots of people there who had started out their careers, done work terms there, had gotten jobs, some of them their first jobs. They like working there. They say it's a great place to work. They know that there's negativity about the project, as Caroline O'Leary alluded to. And some people said that, but we've really got a bad name up here. The workers have gotten a bad name because of the politics surrounding the project. But, there will be people who will benefit from it. How much? We don't know, but careers have been started there. So, it's a project we wanted to have a look at. We do own it. We'll have to pay for it. And it's good for us to get inside and see it and see what it's all about. Right. And it's almost completed now.
Well, thanks, Chris. No doubt we are going to have to pay for it. And the inquiry will probably be presented with arguments about whether all of those jobs and person hours of work and years of work, were they worth the price tag? No doubt that'll be before the inquiry.